So, as the title of this video suggests, just want to have a talk about this game a little bit. Hold on a moment, I just get used to where this guy is. So, at the moment I'm just going through and doing some, like, cleanup for various trophies and that sort of thing. And I've been playing this game for a while. I got it free from PSN, and, you know, it's one of those games which, you know, if you're watching this, you probably already know it's been fairly maligned for various reasons. But as I've been playing it, in all honesty, it deserves another look, and at least some thoughts and a chance, you know? I guess to begin with, I do agree with a lot of the critiques with this game. So, it does some things very well. Like, for one thing, this game is just gorgeous. Like, a lot of effort went into the fidelity and, you know, how pretty these environments look and the way they're connected. It's actually really damn cool. And it's pretty... There's a lot to actually see and do, and what I'm actually doing at the moment, I'm not playing through the story. I'm back in a previous level, and the game actually has quite a few Metroidvania-style influences where, as you gain new powers and that sort of thing, you can go back and you can now access new chests and find new things to shoot and new puzzles, and sometimes there are secret bosses and that sort of thing. So it actually does have some juice. It's got some stuff going on. It's not all, you know, it's not actually all a completely linear Magic Call of Duty-like, which is what I was kind of told and was expecting, and not really what I found the game to be. But it does have some disappointments, and I guess we'll get we'll rip the Band-Aid off straight away before I talk about what I actually do enjoy. Which is, you know, the magic's kind of... It's underwhelming. So, what I've got right now is this red magic bracer. This is kind of like your shotgun equivalent. And I'm just going to go up to these barrels and... yeah. And I feel like they had enough in the gameplay department to make it interesting and fun. Because I've enjoyed the combat and fighting enemies quite a lot, actually. But it's the way that the environment just doesn't really react, or, you know, spells like this should send shards of wood everywhere. These crates should just get annihilated, you know. You got your classic red barrel here. Like, come on, you can't have an FPS, put a red barrel in it, and then tell me that this is not going to explode, right? And it's got a lot of other annoyances, like this magic barrier that comes up here that stops me from jumping up here. I mean, why? What's the point of that? I mean, why do that? But in the end, you know, I'm not really here to talk too much about all the game's flaws and everything else. I could go on with that for quite a while. And I'm not saying this is some sort of hidden gem and that everyone was absolutely wrong to ignore it or anything. But I just want to make an argument why, if you do have access to this game, or if you see it cheap, it's worth playing and it's fun. So I'll just quickly get to somewhere where I'm actually doing something rather than just purely faffing around for the sake of faffing. Because, you know, faffing is one of the greatest things that I like doing. I'm looking for a puzzle that I can now solve, which is probably up this way somewhere. The map's pretty good, actually, once you get used to it. Oh, here's some dudes. So here's a good example. To this dude up here with the crystal on his head, that's actually his weak point. And he's vulnerable to blue magic. This bigger guy over here, if I stick these little shards to him, he gets slowed down a lot. Then you can set the shards on fire with your red magic and they explode like a bomb. And you see, that takes care of him. You got a shield. With upgrades, you get an equivalent of a parry, where if you bring your shield up, it can't be damaged for the first few seconds. I'm also grinding out some experience for later levels as well, which is always handy. I don't need to go through there. I need to go through here. So, the game has lots of stuff actually hidden around the arenas if you go looking for them. Ah, here we go, we've got some enemies. So if you're wondering why these enemies are dying like chumps, I am playing on the second hardest difficulty, but when you go back in levels like this, the enemies don't scale. And this is actually pretty handy because it gives you a good effective option for grinding out some skills and abilities, because it's got quite an elaborate skill tree actually, which isn't too bad. So you can upgrade your shields, you can make them behave differently. You know, there's a few synergies going on here. You can upgrade your basic, like, spell power and that sort of thing. So, you know, they did invest something in some of the RPG mechanics and that sort of thing to make it a bit more fun and engaging. It's not just straight up a linear shooter, basically. And now here's what I've come for. So eventually I've got an ability that I didn't have the first time I came in. And what I want to do is I want to find somewhere I can shoot lasers into those eyes. Just like that. And so I'm just... By the way, yes, this might take me a bit of time. But this game is full of these kind of... I would say they're actually pretty interesting, like, environmental puzzles like this, where, you know, you've got to figure out, like, an optimal way of, you know, where do I stand to get this to happen? Oh god, there's gotta be one of those situations, isn't it? And basically, if I solve this, it will open up a new path or something new. And I found, generally speaking, it to be pretty rewarding. The only trick is you just have to work out where to stand. Okay. Might be cooking here. Alright. So I actually know that there's a little puzzle to do with these logs over here. Whoops. Oh, you can swim. That's awfully close, isn't it? Oh, hold on. So when I was previously here, I was kind of wondering what the point of this was, and now... Oh, there you go. And I think, hopefully, like I'm not using a guide or anything, this is just spontaneous. That could have taken me quite a while and been very painful, but it's sort of what I love about this game is that while the game's fairly linear and the levels aren't very expansive, they do pile in a bunch of secrets and other stuff to find, and you know, you'll go under a bridge like this and often there's something around, like here's a chest I didn't find the first time. And generally speaking, while there isn't a lot of exploration, this is a boss I'm going to get my ass kicked by, but we'll have a look at it in a second so you can see me thoroughly get murdered by something that is far higher level than me and I can't handle. It's just packed with all these like secrets and things to do, and you can go back to levels and find new things, and even though the map is like this, there's lots of hidden routes. Like even in the darkness here, there'll be like stuff hidden off the map that if you're observant and you jump down to it, you'll find. Because if you look in the upper right there, you'll see there's, what, 10 golden chests and a bunch of shroud flames. Shroud flames are like secret portals that take you into like a little puzzle dimension that itself can be quite entertaining. Some of the puzzles are actually really fun. So let's go get my ass kicked by this boss. So you'll notice this guy will be really, really hard and he'll probably kill me instantly. That's because the game expects me to come back and fight him like at the end of the game when I've got my full upgrades and legendary gear and stuff. They're like end-game secret bosses, and they're generally hidden behind these like little gates. So what's this guy? He is not taking much damage to my attacks. So that's like my super special ability. And then I can do this. I did not read that attack correctly. So when he does that, if I use that ability on him, it like counters his spell and makes him explode. So we're just shooting him. So one thing I will say, with some of these bosses or certain enemies that have... Wow. You know, I felt like I didn't do too bad there, so I'll give him another go, you know? Might use some different source this time a little bit too. So, in terms of UI, my big spells and other fancy things are on here. So I've got like a time stop, I've got like bolts I can shoot out at people, there's a vortex for gathering enemies in, so you can then like combo spells on them, there's like a little blast, and then there's a giant melee punch, which I don't really use because on this difficulty getting close to anything is basically instant death. And I've got like a God of War like rage mechanic as well, because every game needs a God of War like rage mechanic. So, just going to stick some green balls on him. Get the counter spell out. I do not know how I died. Alright, I said one more go, but that was a lie. But this is sort of what I like about the game. So, the combat's actually pretty pretty intense, especially if you up the difficulty. I think if the difficulty was a bit lower, I actually wouldn't have enjoyed this as much. It's a bit hard to see what he's doing, to be honest. Shield. We'll give him some of the old bit. If you're wondering why I'm not trying to use any other spells, it's because, you know, red is my get stuff done spell. Oh! He's got some sauce. Yeah, I think this guy's quite doable, actually. As long as I'm on point with my counters. Oh. I made a mistake, didn't see that my shield wasn't up. So one of the neat things is, he will have a really bad time if I kill his armor. But yeah, there's some good challenge in this game. I really do feel I can get this guy. But I'm going to save my Dominion attack till he's lower now. I need to be more on point with my countering here. So when his health bar flashes and turns that gold color, that's an opening to counter him. And if you counter an enemy's spell, it stops them casting, and they take a chunk of damage. So, I was talking earlier about the skills, and interestingly, you know, it does have some RPG elements, and they do kind of work out quite well. As an example, I have a build where if my shield takes damage, it actually heals me. So you'll notice I gained a chunk of my health then when he broke my shield. So it turns something that would normally be quite bad into actually a good event. And so that's why I'm being a little reckless with my shield, because he will actually heal me a little bit. Whoops. And then that was a huge error. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not using my other spells, it's mostly because he's a lot higher level, and unfortunately, my other spells won't do a significant amount of damage to him. Actually, this is probably a good time for a time stop. Time stop, that's the spell I just got there that slowed him down. That was a spell I actually got from an optional boss from a Shroud Chain. So there's been and that wasn't a main story thing, that was like a completely optional encounter. And although it can be quite difficult, there's a lot of incentive to go around and explore and, you know, actually engage with the game's mechanics, which is really nice. Oops, that was a severe error. I will say, you know, talking and playing a game at the same time is not easy, especially when you're not paying attention. But I will come back to this, because there's other things I would like to talk about. Because it does have a bunch of, you know, other things. So we can just go to another environment. Let me have a look. So like I said, it's got this like almost Metroidvania type element to it, where there's like portals around the place. And where am I am just here. So yeah, won't take too long. I'm definitely going to go back and kill that guy off camera. I just need to be able to concentrate a little bit. It's not that bad, actually. So I can do other things, like I can whip this guy. Normally he would be whipped over to me, but he didn't feel like it. Yeah, so you can hopefully see the difference in the levels and such making here. So that guy's regenerating. Ordinarily, you'd want to use green magic to cut his regeneration, but I'm just going to brute force it. So enemies will have like effects that match the colors of magic. Shields are... this thing here has to be killed with blue magic. And interestingly enough, this is actually a different encounter than the one that's on the main story path. Like, they actually will give you different enemies when you're re-exploring an enemy than when you, an area than when you first got there. So there's actually some fun there, and there's some surprises as well, because there's some surprisingly difficult enemy groups when you go back and visit later areas in particular. So I'm just going to whip this guy and just, you know, annihilate him in midair. And it's, you know, some of these interactions and such, I have to admit, they're kind of fun. Like, it's really fun to just grab a guy with your giant magical whip and blow him into smithereens in midair. I am trying to remember how you get through this mushroom area. Or is this the... That was the secret area, never mind me. Ah, yes. So some of the objects in the world can be moved and manipulated, like this tree. And again, for what it is, there's a surprising focus on things like, you know, interesting puzzles and that sort of thing. So there's quite a few times where you've got to, you know, use multiple spells or figure out how to move a bit of the environment to get where you're going, or even just straight up like some platforming and jumping, but they make that fairly straightforward. So I can jump. You start with the ability to double jump, and then you quickly gain this like hover ability that lets you cross gaps, or will control your jump speed. So it has enough going on. Like, it also has a relatively fun achievement list, trophy list. So there's a few missable trophies, but other than that, as long as you're diligent in talking to people between missions, it's not that bad. You have this forge where I can upgrade equipment or even craft new things. I'm mostly happy with what I've got. I'm very much a fan of these frag fires. They have different stats, like this one gives me more armor and red magic power, which is actually better. And then of course I can go into here, and then I can upgrade it. And this is what makes a lot of this exploration really rewarding. Like, you can see on the left there, I've got plenty of gold and essences, and by doing a lot of exploring and finding hidden things, it lets me experiment with a lot of the weapons and equipment. And even though it looks like they're all kind of similar, they do behave differently. Storm Shards is like some sort of very inaccurate shotgun type approach. It just fires projectiles everywhere, but very quickly. The Maelstrom is a bit similar, but more direct. And then, of course, you've got what I like, which is the Seeker Shards. Seeker Shards is home in on targets, letting you just spam to your heart's content. Your different totems have different abilities and can be upgraded as well. I think, yeah, I've upgraded my one fully. You get health and mana, of course, so you can carry more stuff. The bracer at the bottom is like your armor slot, basically, but it can also be used for like utility stuff too, if you want to. Currently, the one I've got gives me extra shield, which means it sometimes doesn't break, but usually it breaks, let's face it. And then there's like lots of places, so you can see there's a few areas. This is one of the beginning places, but this is a later area that's more broken up. This place has lots of puzzles, actually, which I haven't been able to figure out. You know, there's this area. Where is it? Yeah, this Lucium area is quite a big hub. Like, you can see it's quite massive. It's got a lot of hidden stuff in it. It's actually been really fun to explore and figure out all of the secrets. And then you've got like your base area. And I guess I'll just show this Palathon. But curiously, this little area has like some NPCs you can talk to, and they have various topics.
Your lordship, Jack?
Yeah, the main character is called Jack. Not the most fantasy name, but you know. And there's a bunch of lore and stuff you can get to them. I will say you've probably seen a lot of complaints about the writing, and while a lot of people really love to shit on the writing in this game, it's not all bad. Some of it's terrible, I will grant you, but ironically, when they're actually being kind of funny and trying to be MCU quippy, the dialogue kind of works. The problem is that being like a Marvel movie, and your grimdark, you know, the world is ending, Everwar magic fantasy game, it kind of really demeans and takes away from the, like, here you go, like, there's a bunch of stuff here talking about how everything was destroyed and a bunch of people are dead, and the Palathon here has a living wall that records the names of every single person who's died in this war. And that kind of grimdark stuff, if it was written more consistently and tonally appropriately, like, say, a Warhammer 40k game like Rogue Trader, would be a really cool background for a game, but every single character outside of certain cutscenes doesn't feel like they're taking, you know, the sheer stakes and everything seriously, and it really drags the game down. I feel like a consistent tone, like that doesn't mean grimdark all the time, but a consistent tone to really sell the setting and make it compelling to explore, I think would have done this game a lot of favors. But I'm not really trying to just resume the shit on the game that already didn't do well, you know, that's not the purpose. But I think, you know, I think there's something to it. Like, it's a very pretty game. It's got a lot of really cool, interesting biomes to explore. There's some stuff to see. The next level apparently is going under the ocean, which sounds dope as hell. I just wish there was a bit more interactivity, like, say I do this, and all of a sudden there's spices and pots going everywhere, you know? But even with that, I think there's enough to the combat system, and if you can find this game cheap, you know, don't be afraid to give it a go. You might find that, yeah, it's not going to be the best game you've ever played, but you're going to, I reckon if you approach it with an open mind and give it a go, you know, it's an enjoyable experience. But anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest.